So the question, this was actually not a question that we received this week, but Sam and I are in a mastermind group with some phenomenal coaches. And I was asking a question to the other members of the group because I'm really hearing such incredible results, such incredible transformation. Their journeys are so inspiring. And the money that they're starting to see in their business and the stories that they're sharing around, you know, where they were last year or the year before to where they are now, it's like bonkers to them to be like, God, can you imagine, can you remember when we were talking about this? It feels so different now. And one of the things I could really see in them was this confidence around, I can be really strong in an enrollment conversation because I have such certainty in the work that I do. And so I was asking, like, what is it that has you feel that way? Like, how do you do anything to deepen your coaching? Right? It was just this certainty about the work that they're doing. So that was the question that I asked them. And they gave us tons of really cool answers. So we're going to share some of all of what they discussed, and then our own input as well, and our take of the answer to that question. Yeah. So the straight off the bat was like time in the game. That was the first answer, was just time in the game. You have to be on the field, you have to be playing the game, and you have to be really consistent with your action. And it doesn't mean you have to be a full-time coach straight away, not at all. But it's like, if you have 2 hours a week, like make it those 2 hours a week for your coaching. Like really be consistent with that. And over time, that is going to create you being a more confident, more impactful, more powerful coach. And my first coach, I think I've shared this before, my first coach said to me, Lisa, if you want to be a great coach, coach everyone. And it really was a quality bit of advice, just be in the field, playing the game. So that's the first thing.
Yeah. And I love what you shared, Lisa, about it's not whether you're doing it full time or not, it's just the time that you are doing it. It's that time that you are doing it, like how you're being in that time. Love that. Yeah. That really stood out to me.
Yeah. And I just want to add as well, like the consistency, it was about the action. It was about being in coaching conversations. It was about that. But it was also, what I noticed was I was really consistent in my learning. So I was always learning and deepening. Like I was always watching something or reading something or watching demonstrations or involved in a coaching school or group or something. I was always making a consistent investment in my development alongside being on the field. So it's like, learn it and then get out and do it.
Yeah. The best way to learn, right, is to take the information that you've just had and go teach it, go put it into practice, go do it. Goes from here to here, like we embody it, right? That's an important point. And that actually takes me on to the second point, which was around, working with their coach. One of the things that we noticed, and we know this is true for us, is that when we're working with a coach, it's not just the time that you're with them. Like what we noticed about what they shared with us was between sessions, they're sending a bucket load of stuff over. Look at this. Can you read this? What would you do? How would you receive this? What would your response be? Right. So they're getting information and transformation in every aspect of their business, not just in themselves when they're coaching, but in what they're actually doing. And there was something in there around just the freedom to ask for help and advice, to not be the know-it-all, right? To not really being the beginner. Like it's such an incredible beginner mindset these guys have. And they're making tens of thousands of dollars a month and creating huge transformation in their clients. And they're still willing and wanting to be the beginner. But there's something so incredible in that message. And that's been certainly for me, and I know usually you, Lisa, as well, that was a big thing for me, from being a coach who thinks they need to know it all to, hey, I don't know. It's such a powerful place to come from. So I don't know. Like even for our clients, it allows clients then to be like, well, I don't know. Is that okay? It's like, yeah, it's great. Because then we get to find out. So I think that's something that's really important. like to speak to that, like really being okay with not knowing, being the beginner and asking for help, being open to asking for help and support, no matter what stage you're at. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I wanted to add on to that as well, Sam. I really heard them when they were sharing about, like, I take what my clients are dealing with and what I'm coaching them on to my coach to see, like, is there anything that I'm missing? Would you do anything differently? And developing that muscle. But there's also a lot of work going on themselves. And I know for me, when I started, I was very much in the camp of like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And like, forget about the working on me bit, because I've got that covered, right? It's like, I don't need to do any of that. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I'm really starting to see over the years now, like how working on yourself first and really seeing that, you experiencing coaching in that way. My God, that's so transformational when it comes to then holding the space and trusting the process that you're giving to your client or agreeing with your client. Like, it's gonna make a difference.
Yeah, hugely. It changes how you show up in your business and in your coaching. Like, it's such a transformative thing, because, and we say this a lot when we're speaking to the guys in the school or other coaches and other people, like it. And this is something that I heard Steve Hardizan say, you know, we're not getting what we want, we get what we are being, you know, and that kind of takes me on to the next bit about being all in. You know, when I speak to these guys, when we were speaking to these guys, it was really clear that they're just all in. They are absolutely committed. It doesn't mean they're always going to get it right. It doesn't mean success is going to look the way they think it's going to look. And it's certainly messy, right? It's certainly messy, but they're committed to the messiness as much as they're committed to the definition of success and what they think that they want, right? And we call it kind of being all in, you know, and again, it's not about the amount of time you're all in on, it's what you're doing with the time that you have that you're all in on. And there's just such an incredible commitment, not only to growing a business, a coaching business or a coaching practice, but to themselves as an individual. And not just to themselves, but in every area of their life, you know, because of who we are is who we are in all areas of our life. And I just love that. And I've noticed that the most successful coaches that I know, that's true, that they're committed to doing that inner work on themselves. They are all in on that work consistently. And that in itself, I think what I often see is that's what changes us from seeing problems to seeing opportunities. It's what changes almost like a victim mindset to an owner mindset. You know, and I can give a live example of this actually, because what I used to find as a coach is that being a professional coach was really uncomfortable. I still do a lot of the time. There's some discomfort involved. And my social self would show up like, oh, this feels a bit uncomfortable, or what are they going to think about me? Can I really ask for that much money? Oh, no, I shouldn't. That's not what people like me do, and all that kind of stuff would show up, right? So my social self, my kind of the ego, the insecurity would show up, and it would kind of get mixed with the professional coach. And it was just not a good combination. It's like a cocktail that doesn't work. So, and I do like my cocktails. So what was really helpful was to kind of use my social time as the rest, the recovery, the doing whatever needed to happen, crying into my pillow. That was fine. But then when I'm being the professional coach, I'm showing up as a professional coach and developing and creating a professional persona, a professional coach. And that, what was amazing was that my social self was like, I'm going to meet that. So my whole life began to change and up level. And I think that's just something really important to speak to. You know, are you bringing your social self into your work? And what I see of the most successful coaches is that they and we have created a way of that not being the case.
Yeah. One of my most favorite things that I've heard is it's a job requirement. So if we had a role in an organization and part of it made us feel uncomfortable, right? Like there's a lot of people who have a fear around presenting. So if part of the job is to present to the board, or it's to present to the senior leaders, or it's to present to the team, and that makes you feel uncomfortable, we still have to do it. Right? It's a job requirement. It's in our job description of like, you know, you have to influence at this level, or da da da. So we don't get to like just take the afternoon off every time that there's a meeting that we need to present in. We have to go, we have to feel all the feels, and we have to show up and do it anyway. And in coaching, because it's our own practice and our own business, it can be a hell of a lot easier to just be like dismissive and be like, I'm not going to do that bit then, because that doesn't feel good. I don't want to do that bit. And really seeing it as this is your profession, it's part of your job. Like, yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable when you're connecting with people. Yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable when you have someone who is more successful than you and you are coaching them. Yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable. And you can still feel all of those feels and be a powerful coach. Like, it's a job requirement to be with that discomfort and clean yourself up so that you can serve that person in front of you really profoundly. And I think it's so easy, and it's a mistake that a lot of coaches make, to fall into the trap of, I don't like this feeling, therefore something's off about it. And, you know, what we're really saying is that be with that discomfort, and the discomfort could mean something else. You could have a different relationship to that feeling of discomfort when you start to see this is my job requirement.
Yeah, and this isn't a reframe, because often this sort of thing can sound like a reframe, but what you said at the end there, Lisa, is so important. You know, it's not a reframe what I'm about to say, and I'll explain it, that what can feel uncomfortable and something to avoid then becomes, this is my opportunity. This is an indicator that something is about to happen, that something's about to change, that I'm a step closer to my desired future rather than my default future or my present experience. And that's not a reframe, it's just truthful. Because when we've done the work and we stop seeing a problem as a problem, we start seeing it as an opportunity, because there's opportunity in literally everything, you know. And again, that's part of the gold, that's part of the juice, it's part of the fun, you know. It's all just such a rich opportunity.
Yeah. So that's kind of what was on my mind after this conversation in the mastermind. That's what we wanted to share this week. So hopefully it's been helpful for people. You can let us know in the comments what you've heard in it, what you're going to take from it, what you're going to implement into your business, what you're going to let go of. And we'd love to hear from you. And if you have any questions for us that you want answering as well, anything you're struggling with, anything that you want to deepen in the work that you do, let us know. And we will come back and we will do a live on it.
Perfect.
We'll see you soon.